Hey everyone, Eric Thompson here. Hope that you are doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Today, as we consider number 84 on the AFI Top 100, Easy Rider 1969 indeed. Now, the plot is very simple, but there's a lot to say about this movie. Suffice to say, and I want to make sure I get all these characters' names right and all this stuff. Two guys, hippies, as you can imagine, from 69. Wyatt, played by Peter Fonda, and Billy, played by the late Dennis Hopper, who was very young at the time, otherwise known as Captain America. That's Fonda and Billy. Actually, I guess Billy was kind of... Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, Billy, as in, yeah, he was never... He never had a nickname. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They smuggle some cocaine. Here we go, we'll just dive right into it. Some cocaine from Mexico into the U.S. and sell it for quite a sum of money, as you can imagine. And so they're going to take the money and they're going to ride their motorcycles from somewhere, it seems in California, to Louisiana, to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. That's the overarching plot, okay? Along the way, lots of things happen. And we discover whether or not they are easy riders after all, or what kind of world it is that they're living in as easy riders or hippies. One note that's awfully important about this film is it belongs to an era of film that's loosely referred to as New Hollywood, okay? Sometimes people will just say countercultural movement or countercultural, and they mean for us to think that it belongs to the countercultural movement of the 1960s. But the New Hollywood era stretches really into the early 80s. And I'd like to give you just some examples of other films that belong to the New Hollywood. Just quickly, this is from 66 to 81. I'm just going to go over some titles real quick. I won't mention the years. The Graduate, The Dirty Dozen, 2001, A Space Odyssey, Planet of the Apes, Easy Rider, Patton, The Last Picture Show, The French Connection, Dirty Harry, Deliverance, The Godfather, American Graffiti, The Long Goodbye, Jesus Christ Superstar, Magnum Force, The Exorcist, The Sting, Chinatown, Godfather Part 2, One Floor with the Cuckoo's Nest, Jaws, Nashville, Rocky, Taxi Driver, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Saturday Night Fever, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, Grease, The Deer Hunter, Animal House, Halloween, Escape from Alcatraz, The Shining, Airplane, Raging Bull, The Elephant Man, History of the World Part 1. And there are many, many others, and indeed, many of those films, not all, but many of them are on the AFI Top 100. Now, not all of these films are countercultural, of course, as you can tell. I mean, Star Wars is not necessarily countercultural, necessarily, but we do have films like Easy Rider, which absolutely are. The Last Picture Show, you remember that when we did that one a while back in the Top 100? So you have so many of these films that rub a bit against the times, okay? And that, of course, is, among other reasons, why this film is on the AFI Top 100. We're going to see more New Hollywood films coming up, of course. I also think it's imperative that, Peter Fonda be included somewhere in the Top 100, especially as other films that he was in didn't do quite as well as Easy Rider did. Of course, Dennis Hopper, who directed, wrote, and starred in Easy Rider, and that's something that I don't know if we're going to see a lot of on the Top 100 films that are both directed and starred in by the same person, or of course written by the same person. We'll see if there are any more of those. Is it relevant to today? Well, I'm just not sure. At the time, they made this film for $360,000, and it shows. A lot of it's outside, filmed outside, natural lighting, all of that. But it grossed, let me get my figure right, box office gross was over $40 million. Whoa! A film like this, can you imagine? And we just don't see that with countercultural films in this day. And unless it's, of course, it's very, very I don't know what I'm trying to say. I mean, because this film is unapologetically countercultural, right? It really just kind of throws the middle finger in the systems, in the national systems, the cultural, societal systems of the 1960s and early 70s. We see movies like that today, and oftentimes they're documentaries. Michael Moore, of course, who does very, very well. But those films are not looked on in the same respect or in the same light as Easy Rider, in that they aren't treated kind of as blockbuster hits, but, you know, movies that you have to sneak in to go see because you feel guilty about seeing something like that, something about that kind of topic. Now, of course, we still see movies that assert independence of the individual and all of that. Even in some respect, Slumdog Millionaire, which of course does not belong to the American experience at all, except for the must be a millionaire side of it, is very countercultural in some respects. Okay, war films, which are doing so well right now, also seem to have a very countercultural feel because they challenge our understanding of armed conflict. All right. All that being said, I'm just not sure if I feel confidently that this film is relevant to today. Beside, of course, that it contains such tremendous acting talent. Jack Nicholson, Phil Spector is even in the movie. He makes a little cameo. But of course, Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper and so forth. I guess the jury's still out on whether it's relevant or not. Divinity, to me, is very curious in this movie. I'm filming in the car again today. I wanted to film outside, but it's just so windy. I didn't think it would do well, wouldn't pick up well. But I spun the car around over to this parking lot so that you could see behind me. Looks like I guess you can mostly see just dormitories, but Georgetown College is behind me. Okay, and this is an important part of my thoughts for the day, because this is a place of generations. Okay, even at the church where I work, we have parishioners who went here, you know, in the 60s and 70s, okay? And of course, my sweet wife, Tori, she just graduated from this institution along with so many other of our dear, dear sweet friends, Hannah and Rebecca and so forth. And so this is a generational place, okay? I also, you know, meant to maybe eventually we'll film a video in St. Francis Church, St. Francis de Sales, which is an old Catholic church, a place of generations. To me, this film is a generational film. One, the Fondas. Okay? Obviously, Peter's dad, Henry Fonda, not a countercultural icon. Okay? Henry Fonda, as you well know, was an incredible star for his time and for years and years. We've already seen him once on the AFI Top 100 in 12 Angry Men, and I'm pretty sure we'll see him again before the end. And then, generationally, his son comes, Peter, and Peter Fonda was, if no one else was, he was one of the heroes for the countercultural movement in the 60s. How that generation changed so quickly. And of course, that's also a reflection on and in line with how movies changed during that time. The innocence of the films that Fonda was in, maybe not 12 Angry Men. I'm thinking of even the light stuff that he did, Yours, Mine, and Ours, and all that stuff. I mean, coupled with his dramatic works as well. Changed into the mid to late 60s, and you got into this new Hollywood era, this gritty era. But movies persisted, okay? People were still making movies, and all was well. And this reminded me of the faith, our generational faith. And it's expressed beautifully in the Magnificat, the prayer that Mary offered in the first chapter of Luke. I'll read it quickly for you. Luke 1:46. And Mary said, "My soul exalts the Lord, that my spirit has rejoiced in God my Savior, for he has had regard for the humble state of his bond slave, or his handmaid, his servant. For behold, this time on all generations will count me blessed. For the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name, and his mercy. Sure, I'm sorry about that. My little camera just died. My little Sony CyberShot. So, continuing forward, if you'll excuse me, I'm glad I have my phone on me too. And so she goes on. Mary goes on to praise the works of God, the great works of God, and exalts God's holy name, of course. But that one line, and his mercy is upon generation after generation toward those who fear him. Our faith is generational. The story of the Bible is a story of generations of people who struggled with God's law to get their lives right, to live the way God wanted them to, and how God worked patiently and lovingly with generation after generation, one after the other. And, I'm just glad that God's working with our generation too, with you and with me, with our friends, with our family, with people we love, with people we do not love so much. God is still at work in this generation and will continue to be. This is a very difficult time for our country, of course. Hasn't it always been in America? I guess. Maybe not. Sometimes better than others. But don't people always say, "Oh, it's so awful, this generation"? But here in the Bible, Mary proclaiming so bravely that God's mercy is with us, generation after generation. And that's such good news for us, because we need a constant love. We ourselves get tired, just as Saint Teresa said of Avila, or was it Mother Teresa? I'll have Vegas check. What's more important than loving well is loving without getting tired. And it's hard for us to maintain healthy relationships and love as we should. But God's love is everlasting, and God's love doesn't get tired. No matter how many generations come and go on the earth, he stays with us, and that's good news for today. Especially on this good Divine Mercy Sunday, a beautiful day to remember God's mercy toward us, his mercy that extends generation after generation. So that's been number 84, Easy Rider. I'm sorry for the technical malfunction. Again, I don't know what's wrong with you. I guess we gotta keep this thing more charged. We'll try to in the future. There it is. That's the other little camera, you see. It's very low budget here, AT's Film Review. I should do a Kickstarter. I'd love to have something a little higher quality. But I'm glad to have what I have, and I'm glad that you guys are along for the ride, for the adventure, and of course, so very thankful that you stopped by to watch. Like and subscribe to the channel if you care to, and we'll be back very, very soon with number 83, I think, to Titanic. And Sunrise is coming in the mail tomorrow from Netflix, so very exciting times. Thanks for watching, my friends. Take care. Bye. Also, yeah, wait.